Hello and welcome back to Jody Lewis Creations. In today's video, we are doing the final flip through of the Christmas swap journal. So I'm really excited to share this with you. Hopefully you will enjoy the final flip through. I know I did not film a whole lot of creating this. As you know, we've been traveling. I started this in like September. I took it to the retreat that I went to in October and worked on it all weekend. Got home, worked on it a little bit more, then we left November 9th, and it was a pretty big thing for me to actually finish working on it. I spent 2 days finishing it up in December. As today is, what day is it? It's still December, obviously, because I just finished this. And I just finished the pink folio, so that kind of puts it in perspective for you. Today is December 9th, so yay, it's done. It's done in time. The mailing deadline was supposed to be last week, but some things happened with one of the persons participating, and so we had an extension, which actually really worked out in my favor. I'm very grateful for the extension because it gave me time to really go back through, put some more fillers in, add a little bit more, sorry, add more just to make it feel like it was perfect. And it was really funny because the three of us were messaging last night, and I mean, we've all named our journals, and it's really funny because they all have a theme and that they're quite big, large, and I just couldn't understand why mine is the smallest one. And then I realized we have the two options. Okay. So I'll circle back to that in just a minute. But first I wanted to show you, this is the finished green bean box. So this is beach glass on the top that I sprayed with a clear gloss spray paint just to give it a sheen so it has that wet look, which really makes the colors pop. And I adhered it with the matte gel. Liquitex matte gel. And so there are parts of this that I have filmed, parts of this that I have not filmed. So in the corners, I just did some crackle paste and went over it with some glacier paste, of course. And so that's the inside. So this is just going to be a fun, this is like a bonus box, okay? Hopefully it will hold up and she can use it. And I was safe going with the D on top because both of the other participants' names start with a D, so I was good regardless of who I was sending to. I knew the D would be safe. But anyway, so yeah, it's a simple box. Hopefully it can be used. Hopefully it will hold up. I mean, I do have a lot of time and effort into it, so I am hoping that it holds up. I did some stamping on here. I didn't do any stenciling really. I just did the crackle paste and the glacier paste just on the corners to give it a little bit of sparkle. Anyway, so that's just a fun piece. For me, it was fun to make. Honestly, I almost kept it for myself, but part of that was insecurity about it and not being sure that it was kind of, I don't want to say good enough quality because I like it. It's just kind of a random piece. It doesn't match what I did. Okay, so now we have the main part here. We have this is the journal cover, so I made a clutch. This is a clip-on earring that I have stitched in the center of this kind of bow here. And it's done with some vintage laces, some wedding trim. Some of it is more modern lace. It's just very lacy and feminine. I stitched a snap in here, so it does actually snap closed. Let's pull her out. We'll set her aside for a second. I'll finish showing you the clutch. So on the inside, this is a fat quarter, a fabric that I believe came from Joann's. It's actually Joann. There is no S on that. It's gorgeous. It has a little bit of gold in the flowers. That's not really coming through in the light. I apologize. Again, you guys know I'm struggling with finding the proper lighting in here. This is like an old doily that I stitched to the back of this. And this is really fun because this is the first project that I actually sewed with that featherweight machine. So I was really excited about it. I did all the laces and everything in October when I was in West Virginia with our friends. And then I took it home and finished it off. Sewed it to the fabric and made this little bow on the front that's very feminine and delicate. I have a thread that makes me nervous, so I'm going to have to check that and make sure everything is secure as it should be. All right, and dun, da, 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 here's Fatty Patty. So, yep, I named her Fatty Patty. So you can see she's a waterfall journal, okay? And I don't remember now off the top of my head. I think we had to have between 10 and 15 pages and at least 6 pockets with things in each of the pockets. So I definitely exceeded that requirement for this style of journal. And also when I get the journal that I receive, if I have permission from the person who built it, I will share that with you as well. Okay. So on the front here, I use the Stamperia Old Lace paper pad, and it is absolutely a beautiful paper pad. I had been hoarding that for a while, and I decided what better way to use it than to fill it with love and gift it to one of my dear friends. So on the front here, this corset has been fussy cut out of the paper pad, and on the bodice here, the little flower, I put some stickles on there to give it some shimmer. I added a little rosette here and various trims and some gold tulle as the bottom of the dress. Excuse me. In the front here is a Tim Holtz pocket, and it's got a I put a tag in there that is from a vintage magazine. So everything, okay, so my theme that I went with was vintage women and vintage ads, so you should see that kind of go through, and then all the lace was just, I felt like it tied it together since it's a very feminine feeling journal. In the front here, I have a playing card. This is an old rail card that we actually found in the attic of our house when we were, as we were remodeling it. So that is a true piece of vintage ephemera from my house that we found as we were restoring it. A vintage coupon here and a vintage ticket from Geauga Lake Park, is a park up in Northeast Ohio. So I thought that was a lot of fun. And then never lose your sense of wonder there. This is a ticket or a tag made from the leftover piece of just a scrap and a piece of this digital kit, which is from Tailor Made Journals. It's in her shop, and I will leave the link to her shop below. This is a hidden paper clip, an altered paper clip. There is some sass in here, so me sarcastic never, as she's looking in the mirror and fixing her makeup. This is a piece of the digital kit that is stenciled and inked just for additional journaling space on that page. Each of the scrapbook papers themselves have the lace sewn down the edge, and it is the same front and back. You would have seen that in previous videos. I have footage that I have to figure out what I'm going to do with it, to be honest. This is the other side of the paper clip, so I cut one of the round pieces out, which you guys know I just love cutting circles. But I put liquid pearls on it and some stickles just to brighten that paper, which actually I'm really pleasantly surprised at how it did brighten the paper pad. So this is an advertisement from one of the vintage books or magazines that I was using, and I backed that with some of the digital kit. So I cannot tell you exactly. I know that I use Modern Priscilla's in here. There's a McClure's magazine from 1904 that I used. Random, various true ephemera bits. Most of the things I used I actually could have copied, but I wanted to use the real pieces. There's very little Tim Holtz stuff in here as far as like paper dolls. So I have this with the, just a piece of the digital paper that I've sewn to make a tag to slip in there. And the 3 ladies sitting on vintage stamps and friendship. I thought that was appropriate. There are 3 of us in this swap. This is just a little gold paper clip. So this is just a little piece I made here. This tore on me, so I had to fix it. So I put glossy accents on it. It's very fragile paper that I used. And this was from the 1904 McClure's magazine. This is a vintage German book that's very, very brittle and fragile. You open it up, some player piano paper, the ticket, and then an image from this magazine that I used, and then back here. It's a very tight fit. I have to fix that though. I'm glad I'm doing this because it makes me know I've got to fix this. Some stuff that, because it's been a few months and it's been jostled around in the RV, so it needs a little bit of repair work, which I will do. Ticket from the, or a tag from the scrapbook paper. So I'll just set this in here. I won't clip it back in yet. On this side, this is a doily that I cut apart with a little Tim Holtz butterfly. And then, hello, my darling. And some gold splatter on her with a piece of Sheila Bling that I fussy cut. And then on this is just some coffee dyed paper. I used a tear ruler on the edge to give it a nice scalloped effect. They're just at the music box. There's a ticket in here and a little flower in here just for a pop of color. Now on the top of these papers, it had some like printed lace and stuff. So I just added some burlap lace and a little jute with a pearl to bring some life to that paper and add some dimension to it. With a piece of chain that I took apart to make a dangle. Coffee dyed doily. And here is an actual vintage agricultural ticket. And this is vintage music paper. This is a piece of the paper pad that I've cut. It was like little cut aparts that I'd cut and made a little pocket there, stitched and put some scrap paper in there. I just thought that was cute in the pocket, again with a piece of the jute and pearl for dimension. And then I think that this one's hilarious. I love it. I just like the way she's holding her little fan. And well, that's a level of incompetent I've not seen before, which I think is really fun because the three of us can be quite sassy. So these are just some fun pieces. This is an envelope that I've just collaged around. And then I've got this image from the book that I think is fantastic with some sari ribbon there with the 1904 image from that book. It's a snug fit, but it's okay. This is some cool parchment. I love the feel of that. You've seen me work with that before. On the scrapbook paper, again, some liquid pearls and stickles just to bring a pop of life to those pages. More lace down the side. On this, again, I won't repeat. You will notice that I did the pearls and the stickles on a lot of these papers and flowers just to bring a pop of color. This is a canceled check from 1923. A vintage ad with her. And then the corset from the paper pad, I embellished that as well. Slide that right in that little belly band. And then she goes in there. Excuse me. This is an actual 1887 medical almanac that I have. Now, I did copy this because I love this almanac so much that I don't want to use the original, and it's really brittle. And so I just have copied that a couple of times and used it in various projects. Someday I may use the original, but I don't know. And I just think that she's just lovely. Just lovely. With the journaling cards from the paper pad. So this is the center. And so this big image here just flips out, and I've got some trim down the side. Now I put a little dangle on the edge here. And when I did this and put this trim here, it kind of messed up. This whole thing flipped out, but I've gotten it loosened up, so it will flip still. But this is vintage player piano roll. This is actually a ticket or a tag from my great-grandmother's stuff, so that is a personal item that I've included in here. Sorry about that, Mark walked in. Okay, so on this one, I have an envelope from the paper pad that's fussy cut, and then a couple of the journaling cards in here as well. I just love how the liquid pearls and the stickles worked on this paper. I mean, I just really love it. Fringe Court Memories, a piece of the digital paper I folded for extra journaling space in there for notes. This old lace, just a piece of the paper that I stitched around. I just love this piece and I couldn't cut it or use it for anything. So I just stitched around it and left it whole for in there. And it's quite a full pocket. Oops, I just hit the thing with my head. I apologize. All right, this is a vintage ad that I'm not going to read because it's really kind of sassy and I think it's hilarious, but I'm not going to read it out loud. It's kind of inappropriate. So she was a true friend there. That's just a Tim Holtz quote, and I just stitched around that tag that it was a fussy cut from the paper pad. In this pocket, we have a definition card, piece of the scrapbook or the digital paper, piece of the kit, and then that's just a collage in the back of that pocket. I just love that silhouette. I've got some of the dots on there. Doesn't really matter which direction that goes, or this one, it's just part of it. And then in the back here, this is a piece of parchment paper that I had in my spray box at home, and I'm telling you, I'm regretting having not grabbed those and brought them with me. I love working with them. This is just something out of the Modern Priscilla magazine. And then a vintage postcard. And that just slides right in here. Okay. And then the other side of that, piece of the parchment with a little bit of trim on there just as a tab. Then on the back side here in this pocket, we have a super fun playing card. My friend sent me this, and I just thought she was so funny and fit this journal. What has she done? She's got a secret. And then a piece of the paper pad there that I've cut into a tag shape. And then in this pocket, this is a coffee filter that I've made into a pocket, and it just has a piece of the scrapbook paper there. And this card, I absolutely love this card. I mean, it took me forever. So the card itself has the same flower on it. So then this was a fussy cut. So I cut it apart, cut the leaves, roughed it, inked it, just really gave it some dimension, and I just love it. Love it, love it, love it. I love how that turned out. It's one of my favorite pieces I think that I've ever made, actually, but it took me forever. Cracked me up. I was at the retreat working on this, and they were like, "You're still working on that piece?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." So you saw me make this. This is our little door. And then the doily. And in this pocket, this is the wedding dress trim. And then we've got a tag with some sari ruffle at the top. And then this is an actual letter, a vintage letter. Another dangle that matches the first one. The other side of this where I just replicated that. This was a fun piece to make. So this just comes off here with a little paper clip. And we have this ad. This is a 1930s deposit slip. And this big tag slides out of this pocket. You can see the shimmer on there. And it's backed with the digital kit, and it's just a floating pocket. So this was a really interesting piece. I don't know, I just was like, I want to use more of the digital kit because it's such a pretty kit. And I had some scraps of the actual scrapbook paper or the cardstock, and I was like, what am I going to do with these? Until I made another pocket. And here's just did a top tuck. I was really trying to put some stuff more in the top too to balance this out. These are two pieces of the digital paper that I just had fun just playing with the sewing machine and stitched all around it. So that'll be nice for extra journaling space, I think, in my opinion. And then I just love this. I do wish I had done a couple more of these that flip out like this. I think that's a fun piece. This piece is super funny because I had this all wrapped and my glue must have seeped. I could not get it unwrapped, so I had to cut it. But Mark says it looks fine, so I left it. So, shall we go have a little fun? And then just a piece of the scrapbook paper. And I really liked that piece, just the way it ended up being cut. So I just left it as a journaling card. And then on the back here, this was just an advertisement for the different magazines. So I cut around it and just glued it to that. I just thought it was a cool piece. And we've got our 3 little tags in here, just cut aparts from the paper pad. And then this piece with a Tim Holtz flower. There's a little bit of texture paste. This was a scrap of something I had, and so I made a little envelope. I've got a good heart, but this mouth. So much fun. Those sassy quotes, or what are they called? Snarky from Tim Holtz, I think is what it is. Anyway, super funny. All right, and in the back here is a really big loaded pocket. So we have... So this is an actual violet from my yard that I dried. And then we have a little embroidery advertisement here. Another one of those playing cards. So in the front, it was the reverse color. And so I think that was fun to have that in the back. She's got a secret. We have her. She's like tall and skinny with the green stamp on there. The ostrich feathers. I thought that was kind of a fun advertisement. And this is a hair removal advertisement that I think is hilarious. And then that's the back of it. So that's it. That's my Christmas swap journal. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Thank you for joining me. Bye.